welcome back. It's still Business Incorporated here on Channels Television. Let's head to the markets now, see what intraday numbers look like with Will Ibong. Will.
Listening to the conversation you just had, I know it put you in a very tough position, sensitive spot there, especially when it has to do with Africa. I know you're very passionate about Africa working together, and we're hoping that the government listens and maybe not throw it out to prayer, you know, like we had our Minister of Agri say that, but let's just hope that we actually work.
Will, you have the floor. I'm not a part of this conversation.
No worries. Let's see what major markets are doing at intraday. Well, I'll say they were negative. We saw the NGX kicking off the week in the red with the all-share index down about 0.2%, now down about 0.14%. Last time I checked. And this was after shedding about 88 basis points earlier in the session, pulling back from Friday's high, which was above 115,000 points. Now, the decline follows a new CBN directive ordering banks under regulatory forbearance to halt dividend payments, defer executive bonuses, and suspend offshore investments. Banking stocks are broadly lower in response to this. We see them in the red today at intraday. Now, let's look at South Africa. JSE in South Africa was also down at intraday 1.76%. Elsewhere, Egypt's NGX was also down 0.28%. You can have that on the screen. And we see Nairobi Securities Exchange bucking the trend. You know, positive sentiments we're having all week last week, but it closed Friday in the red, 0.16%. So let's dig deeper and see what's happening on the floor of the NGX. And we have Ambrose Omodian, Chief Research Officer, Invest Data Consulting, joining us to share his details. Good afternoon, Ambrose. Good to have you on the program.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Ambrose, on Friday, the NGX index formed a classic double top. You mentioned that double top pattern. That's a signal of a potential reversal. With this CBN directive hitting at such a critical point, is this a genuine pullback we're seeing or a false breakout?
Personally, I would say this is kind of a coincidence. Yeah, the market has formed, a double top already before the news came to the market about the circular to the banks, and that also kind of triggered the pullback. So, for one thing, that the market is still trying to resist that decline. We see that some of the banks that were selling lower than what we're seeing now at this hour came down, and also they are rebounding. I think yes. Actually, this is the chart, and I agree with you. This is the chart that shows that the market is ready to kind of pull back. We call it either a reversal or kind of a continuation. But at this point, when you see kind of a double top, says that market is waiting for either a breakout at this point for pullback. And when I saw the pullback, today as a result of what I was saying earlier, the market reacted to the circular from CBN. But one thing in that circular that I think investors should also be very careful with is that. When they release the circular, CBN did not point any bank or mention any bank in that circular. But there's a research from Retraces, they call Retraces research, if I'm correct. And the research they did back 27th of May, where they mentioned some banks that having forbearance and all those stuff. But in CBN notification, nothing like that. And that has been circulating on the media, both the social media and the print media. And that has sent a kind of panic to the market. But for me, on this platform, I would say that market players, investors should not panic because one, as I was expecting to see the inflation figure today, I don't know that it's out, but at least our check is not out. That inflation figure also give us an insight to what we're expecting. And we have seen the macroeconomic data in this nation that are pointing to a direction. If at the end of the day, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, I see the market continuing this trend. But knowing that the banking sector is a major sector in the market or subsector in the market that really have poor activities coming down to reflect on the index. But today we see that the life of fixing, Nigeria Brewing, MTN, and me and Baker have supported the market. By now, we feel the market has been in total rebel. I see the market trying to resist decline. For me, let's wait and see what will happen tomorrow ahead of all the early season that will start in July. Don't forget that this figure that came today give us an insight whether we are likely to see either a rate cut at the end of the coming MPC meeting in July. These are things that investors look at. And also, let's see how the fixed income rate will continue. If we continue to remember it, the signal that we're going to see a rate cut that will kind of support the market uptrend. For this news, I think also CBN should come out and clear the way for investors to find the direction. And also a signal that the regulators are not working together. When I mean regulators, talking about the bank, the regulator for insurance sector, one for step forward for capital market investors, and then the bank, because these are financial, regulators that work as a team. The news of this, if they are put together, I think this circular will not come up at all, because we need to send kind of a negative sentiment that we're already seeing until the CBN come out to explain the reason why. And also, if you go back and look at the state of Nigeria banks, most of them have hit their capitalization, some of them have surpassed the 500 billion, and at the same time, they are having to retain earnings that are more than even 2 trillion some of their balance sheet. For me, I think the CBN can do all these, which are all these forbearance are taken care of. They are coming to let the public know, set the signal, kind of the panic to the market. Yes, it's good that they are regulators to protect everyone in the market or the economy, but I believe that there's a way we regulate to not send a signal of fear to the people that you are trying to protect. I think this is why the two bodies have to work together. The PENCOM, the regulator for insurance, SEC, and CBN, so that anything that are pushing out to the public, send that yes, I will be confident, not that will send panic as we are seeing now. But I believe that CBN should go back to the table, sit together and clarify and make the whole thing together. But speak now, what the special company have done is what is sending all this negative statement. But from the main circular from CBN, they didn't mention any banks, and only that the fear there is that they will suspend their dividend, not that every investor looking up to work for dividend, because these investors have invested back in these banks with their public offer right issue because of the confidence they have with those banks. That's why they invested. But also, CBN have told us that the banks are stable and strong. If investors have put money back to this bank, they hope that make money, that's for dividend, spend that dividend, and that's why they saw this confusion. CBN needs to come out and clear.
Yes. Okay, so while we wait for the CBN to clear this, we definitely know that dividend is one of the major sources of income for most investors in Nigeria. This is where they get their income, their daily living. So now that the CBN has said, we know that the banks are definitely spooked right now. Do you see this continuing, this pullback continuing for banking sectors, pending when the CBN clarifies which banks are involved in this? Because like you mentioned, Access and Zenith Bank, they've already met their recapitalization requirements. So where does the banking sector stand as we speak?
Yeah, for me, this is time that the Nigerian investors have to also apply what we call the technical and also the fundamental. These banks are robust enough, and technically a good bank will continue to buy back, buy to a lower price. But because you just said no time soon has been grown for them to respond, but I believe that in the economy where confidence is coming gradually and we are seeing indicators point to where they are going, it is good for the regulators to make it snappy and come even before Wednesday or before this weekend and let them come out and say this is where we are going to, this is what I say. That will boost confidence again. And for me, I'm not afraid that the price is dropping because these banks, from other indicators we have seen, they are solid. A full bank is opportunity for you to buy, especially if you are a long-term investor. For traders, it must kind of affect your trading goal. But it mustn't stop like that's why I said, before you buy any stock, you must have your stop loss, you plan your trade. If it's going on, you just have to protect your capital, you pull out and go to go for traders. But for medium and long-term investors, put your position out because banks is the engine of any economy, and our banks are solid now. The corporation was saying, yes, that's just payment us to know. That's why investors know how to put more money in those banks because of the confidence they have. The regulator have said these banks are solid. But coming out to say they should not pay investor dividend, for me, is not the right way to do because they're already selling bank signal. For those that have invested their hard money, but if there's only what they do, they need to earn a kind of return. I think CBN should come out and clear it. That's the thing I would say. For the time, I can't this time to be.
Yeah, it would be great to have that clarification from the Central Bank of Nigeria. But just one word, red or green for today, Ambrose. No long talk, just red or green.
For me,
just red or green. That's all I just want to know.
Let me say green. Green, I feel like green.
Green, definitely. I will look out for that green clothes. Thank you so much, Ambrose Amodion, Chief Research Officer, Invest Data Consulting.
Thank you.